We laid out a few courses of action the Washington Commanders could take after Brian Robinson Jr. was ruled out of this weekend's game against Pittsburgh Steelers, and they took one of them. Chris Rodriguez signed to the active roster on Saturday. That and more coming up on this bonus episode of Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this bonus episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, David Harrison, covering the Washington Commanders for CommanderGameDay, part of Sports Illustrated, also covering the Washington Commanders for WUSA9.com this season. Of course, I'm here with you every Monday through Friday. Thank you for coming through today. Everydayers, thank you especially for coming through every single day. Locked On Commanders is your daily podcast covering the Washington Commanders. If you haven't already, you can subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this bonus pregame episode. We're going to hear from Terry McLaurin, Sam Cosmi, and assistant defensive backs coach Willie Gay. We're going to talk about some kicking concerns creeping back up for the Washington Commanders. We're going to kick it all off with Chris Rodriguez Jr. signed to the active roster on Saturday to help shore up the running game with the absence of Brian Robinson Jr. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. So in our Friday episode, we talked about our three must-dos that we laid out in our Thursday episode with Chris Carter of Locked On Steelers. And that first must-do that the Washington Commanders had to do was find a power game without Brian Robinson Jr. and potentially without Chris Rodriguez Jr. as well, because we talked about this. Chris Rodriguez Jr. in the New York Giants game, which was Brian Robinson's second absent game this season. That was Chris's third time being called up from the practice squad. The practice squad rules state that in order for a player to be active for a fourth game, he cannot be called up from the practice squad. He has to be added to the active roster. So the Washington Commanders needed to make a decision there, either find a player to release or find a player to potentially put on injured reserve. And that is exactly what they did on Saturday. Of course, never celebrating an injury. Tight end Colson Yankoff did miss the game against the New York Giants. Very heavy special teams contributor, placed on injured reserve with a hamstring injury of his own. That opened up the roster spot on the active roster for the team to sign Chris Rodriguez Jr., which they did as well on Saturday. And the thing about this trade-off here is that Chris Rodriguez can fill that special teams void now left by Colson Yankoff. So you shouldn't have a tremendous drop-off on special teams coverage with Chris Rodriguez potentially. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-for-one. Obviously, the Commanders will make that decision on their own. But if we're looking at this roster move as a one-for-one swap, Chris can fill that role left by Colson Yankoff if they indeed choose to have him do that. And the other thing he's going to be able to do that we talked about yesterday is bring a power presence to this run game, right? We talked about it going up against the New York Giants in the first half. Really the first 2.5 quarters, the Washington Commanders averaging 3.3 yards per carry, which is well under their season-long average. Chris Rodriguez Jr. gets his first carry of the game right around the 7-minute mark. And from there to the end of the game, that average jumps to 3.8 yards per carry for the total of the game. Still well below their season average, but increasing it by half a yard through the rest of the game. And Chris Rodriguez ends up the leading rusher for the Washington Commanders. Now let's make a couple of things clear here. Brian Robinson still very clearly the best running back on this team, I think, but you need that power presence because that power presence makes the defenders in the box respect the play action. It makes them suck in towards the line of scrimmage, and it allows Jaden Daniels to have a little bit more time in the pocket. It allows him to escape the pocket as well a little bit better if need be. Now, what Chris Rodriguez Jr. has kind of lacked in his game and his limited opportunities over the course of his career so far that B-Rob has really had the opportunity to showcase is receiving ability. Now, I will tell you, I believe, and I wholeheartedly believe, if you're an everydayer going back to when Chris was drafted, I went back to his Kentucky tape, and I told you guys then, I think he's a better receiver than he's given credit for. However, he has not had the opportunities necessarily to showcase that in training camp. He got a few more opportunities, and unfortunately did not take advantage of them as much as he would like to have. And that, of course, ended up, in part, there's a lot of layers to it, but leading to his starting the season on the practice squad. But Chris Rodriguez Jr. added to the active roster. So happy for him to have that opportunity. And I expect after what you saw him do against the New York Giants, he's going to get opportunities against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense on Sunday. The other move, Colson Yankoff again going to injured reserve. Kicker Zane Gonzalez. If you go back to the preseason training camp kicker search that we talked about so often, I mentioned Zane Gonzalez as a target that I would like to see the team bring in personally. Yes, he's an Arizona Sun Devils guy. He was added to the practice squad and then subsequently elevated for the game to the active roster. Defensive lineman F.A. Obata also being elevated from the practice squad to the active roster. And kicker Austin Seibert, who has been great for the Washington Commanders since coming over from the New York Jets, out for tomorrow's game officially. So really hoping that Zane proves me right with his kicking opportunities this weekend for all the rallying I did to bring him into the team. Last got a regular season kick in 2021 with the Carolina Panthers. That season total, he went 20 for 22 on his field goals. That's a 90.9% make rate, 95.7% on his extra points. So very good numbers there. Overall, he's got an 80.5 field goal percentage, which certainly does not sound great. But I will tell you, too, Zane Gonzalez has been injured a little bit during his career, and trying to muscle through those, trying to get through those injuries, certainly not helping those numbers. Had a 2-for-5 year with the Cleveland Browns in 2018 before moving on to the Arizona Cardinals in the same season, ended up going 7-for-9 there. So that, that 9 for 14 certainly doesn't help his numbers either. But Zane Gonzalez going to be your active kicker for the Washington Commanders this Sunday. Tyler Ott hit the injury report on Saturday with an illness. Was listed as questionable officially, and JP Finley of NBC Sports tweeted out all of these same updates, and Tyler Ott actually responded to him and said, quote, "It's going to be okay," end quote. Now, does that mean he's going to play and he's going to be fine? A lot of people are taking it that way. It could also mean he knows that Nick Allegretti, the backup long snapper, is going to be fine if he's got to take snaps. I don't know. But either way, Tyler Ott says it's going to be okay. So we're going to go ahead and believe him. We're also going to go ahead and hear from your favorite wide receiver in burgundy and gold. And this weekend in burgundy and burgundy, Terry McLaurin. That is coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's bonus episode of Locked On Commanders brought to you in part by Arena Club. For most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Luka, Ellie, or Mahomes rookie card just is not in the cards. You might love collecting, but you might not want to drop that kind of serious cash on doing so. Thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible for you to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Every card that I listed was hit on from last week's Arena Club slab pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auctioning. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL, code LockedOnNFL for 10% off your first purchase. Today's episode of Locked On Commanders is also brought to you by Hims. And guys, sometimes intimate moments can happen spontaneously, and you always want to be ready so you can perform when the opportunity arises. Your health is important, but your schedule is sometimes too busy to make sure you take care of it fully. Well, you don't always have the time to go to the doctor's office to get treated, and through Hims, you can get personalized treatment without stepping foot outside your door. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted treatments like chewable mints, Viagra, and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. And the process is 100% online, so there's no need for an uncomfortable doctor's visit. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized treatment options. HIMS.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compound products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See the website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Continue now to today's episode of Locked On Commanders, and you are going to hear now from wide receiver Terry McLaurin.
Terry, talk about having Lattimore here and just what that means to this team.
Yeah, Marshon, obviously we have a lot of familiarity being from the same recruiting class at Ohio State, and we played each other in the league. And, I just think he's everything you look for in a top corner in this league, from his length with his arms, his play speed, his physicality. his ability to match any receiver in the league, quick guys, bigger bodies. His competitive edge, I think, is what sets him apart. I think the word, dog gets thrown around a lot, but I think he's everything that we're looking for, everything that DQ in this organization is looking for in a competitor. He relishes in the challenges of going against the best guys, and you see his personality come out on the field. He may not say too much in interviews or in the locker room, but his play does always talking, and so I'm excited to see how he adds to the group of guys that we already have. As you can see, they've gotten a lot better over the course of the season, our defense, but adding a guy like that, I truly feel like gives you another edge, and not only for them, but for me as well, and our receivers. Just being able to go against him in practice is going to help us as well. So excited to have him on our team. I can't wait to see him just go out there and compete and do what he does. It's fun, as a teammate and just as a football fan, just to see guys who can be at the high level like that and can change games.
Shout out to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
What's it say about the organization that you're willing to make moves like this?
Yeah, I think DQ and AP have done a great job of just trying to assemble this team with a great group of competitors, first and foremost, guys who love ball, guys who are unselfish. We got a great group of leaders at the top with veteran guys. Then the rookies that they brought in as well are really highly competitive and show some leadership qualities as well. So, you can tell that we're not waiting around and trying to feel things out. We want to go out and be aggressive, not just on the field, but off the field to try to win as many games as possible and see where that takes us. And you need the right people in here first, which I believe they brought in, and players who are unbelievable competitors and really good at their job. So for them to do that in the middle of the season, that pretty much tells you where their mind's at as far as the rest of the season goes.
Terry, what do you remember about meeting Marshon for the first time?
I remember Coach Meyer wanted us to really smother him on one of our recruiting visits. We would have recruiting visits where some of the guys that were already committed would be there, and then we'd be hosting guys that we still wanted. And Marshon, I remember being at the top of the board, him and Eric Smith coming out of Glenville. And like I said, it's kind of funny because Marshon doesn't really say a lot. He's pretty much to himself, but it's sometimes hard to know what he's thinking. But when he gets out on the field, he's an ultimate competitor. So we were extremely happy to get him to be a part of our recruiting class, and he overcame some adversity with some early injuries, but it's as soon as he got on the field, he was the best player on the field. So that's just a testament to who he is. He works extremely hard. He's a great teammate, and he's going to help our team be better.
Hey, Terry, moving on from the Giants to Pittsburgh this week, talk a little bit about this matchup coming up.
Yeah, I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers have been a premier organization for a very long time in this league, from their fan base to, their history, and Coach Tomlin has done a great job of building identity with them, and I think they exude that each and every time they step on the field. Their defense is extremely physical. They're doing a great job of taking away the football. They have elite players on all three levels, in my opinion. And, it's going to be a four-quarter battle going against them. Obviously, we know we got to be physical, match their physicality, if not taking up a notch. But we got to take care of the football. A team that's very opportunistic, really forces you to be consistent going down the field, can't get in negative plays, because that's when, TJ Watt affects every down, but especially on when you get behind the sticks, it allows him and their other pass rushers to really pin their ears back and attack your offense. So we just got to do a good job staying ahead of the sticks and protecting the football. But, I got a lot of respect for their organization and how Mike Tomlin's built that team and the identity that they have. And so for us, I feel like we're building a very strong identity for ourselves where anytime, anywhere, any place, we're looking forward to the challenge. So, this is going to be good on good, and we're looking forward to it this weekend.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Adam has his own people doing all the homework and all that. But did you talk to him at all about Marshon, or at what point did you talk?
Yeah. He asked me a little bit of what I thought about him. At the end of the day, I trust their decisions to do whatever it takes to make this team better. But, anytime I'm asked questions by the scouts, AP, DQ, I'm going to give my honest opinion. And it's a lot easier when you have a personal, relationship with guys and you've seen them on a day-to-day basis from in college and going against them in the league. And I just know what he brings to the table from a competitor standpoint. He's exactly what we're looking for. He's an alpha corner. He doesn't back down from anybody. And, I think there's nothing more evident to the kind of competitor he is than you see him and Mike Evans matchups. I know they got jawing, but you just see that's corner, receiver, high-level football at its best. You got two great players going at it, and neither one of them going back down. And, Marshon did a great job against Mike Evans in a lot of the games. And I think whatever situation our defensive coaches decide to put him in, he's going to be ready for it. You know what I mean? I think he has the versatility to – obviously he plays outside, but I know he can play inside. I know he can play boundary field. He can do it all. You know what I mean? I think that's great when you add a player like that who's so versatile because you can really plug and play him anywhere and he can elevate your defense. And just like, again, his mentality and his attitude is the number one thing I just wanted to convey to our staff of just how much of a competitor he is. He's a lot similar to me where may not say a lot, but when you get on the field, that's when it gets real. So I'm excited to see him go for us.
Terry, with the success you guys have had this season, with added attention, seems like more fans are attending. Yeah. Is it, in a lot of respects, does that feel like
there's definitely a lot of newness. First and foremost, just with everything that's going on in the building. Obviously, you can see the changes from Josh Harris and the entire ownership group just giving us everything we need as players to be successful on the field, off the field. From a personnel standpoint, obviously a lot of players are new this year, and I just think the mentality that we have this year has been very consistent. Even in the few games that we have lost, we've been extremely competitive, and our identity shows when we turn on the tape. You see guys offensively playing hard without the ball, being unselfish. You see guys on defense flying around trying to take the football away. And our objectives are clear each and every week we go into the game, and I think DQ does a great job conveying his message, and he allows us to be us. I think that's one of the best qualities about him as a head coach, where he has expectations, but he allows you to let your personality show and lead in the ways that are true to you, and I really appreciate him for that. And you can tell that guys are having a lot of fun, not only on Sundays, but I just think, practice during the week doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean? I've been in situations where the week it feels just like such like a grind and very tough on you mentally and physically. But we get our work in here, like all the teams in the league. But at the same time, there's such a purpose in the way we practice, the way we attack game-like situations, whether it's 2-minute, whether it's into game, into half. Gotta have it situations. I feel like we're always prepared for what's to come. And even when the defense does something or the offense does something a little different, our competitiveness and the way we're being trained each and every day allows us to rise to the occasion and be ready for whatever comes on Sundays.
Do home games feel different?
Oh, 100%. And, I think it's because we're winning. I know it's because we're winning. And I know there's been some consistency there, and you can't blame the fans for wanting to support that more. Especially when, it's been the way it's been for a while, to give them something that they could be proud of. Yes, the X's and the O's and the wins and the losses, but I think the product of the field, like the brotherhood, the camaraderie that we have, I feel like that exudes when we go out there and play for one another. And I think it's a true home field advantage when they come out and they are as loud as they are. And we're going to need them this week against a really good, Pittsburgh team. And so when you come into a hostile environment and your fans are able to affect third downs, they're able to affect when we make big plays on offense, the other team feels that. Trust me, I know, being on a team where you go to an opposing stadium and they're loud. So I'm just really happy to be a part of this organization and with the fans that are really rallying behind us and have been able to be as patient as they could. But I'm excited for the rest of this season and just what's to come. That what we're building here is something that I feel like can be sustained.
Had you ever scored twice on just 2 catches?
Nah, I haven't. I've never scored on 2 catches in a game before.
Kind of wild.
It was kind of wild. And I've said in the past, I think one of the differences this year is just getting a little bit more looks in the red zone. And I feel like, my red zone route running has improved significantly over my career, but just the opportunities when we see advantageous matchups, we're taking those. And it's not just myself, but other guys in our room are really just making plays. I'm really excited to see how, Noah's making plays in OZ and even Dayami in his limited snaps. And I know Luke's can continue to grind and be ready for his opportunity, but never been in a game where I've had 2 catches and 2 touchdowns. But hey, that's a good day at the office. We'll take it and a win.
Terry, you were here 4 years ago when you guys beat the Steelers. Back, at that point, beating a team like the Steelers was, almost a franchise season-changing win for you guys. Now it seems like it might be just another win this season. How does that approach feel differently going into this game?
Yeah, well, anytime you can win in this league, you celebrate it. It's not easy to win on any given Sunday, no matter who you're playing. So, obviously, at that time, it was a big win for us considering where we were at that point in the season. But just this team and identity is a lot different from that team. And I think we go in each and every day knowing that we can compete at a high level, and we have a brand of football that we feel like can compete with anybody. And it's just about a matter of us going out there and executing our plan, taking care of the football offensively, the defense taking it away, us staying ahead of the sticks and scoring in the red zone, and just taking the fight to them. Like I said, the organization like that where they hang their hat on their toughness, and it's basically you versus them. They're not going to overcomplicate things. They trust their players and their scheme, and they're going to make it hard on you to try to execute. And so for us, I think we've had a lot of challenges come up throughout the season that have been different. We've had to find different ways to win, score points, get stops. So we're prepared for this matchup, and we're excited to go against a team like this and have another chance to move a step forward in our brotherhood and what we're building here. So, we're excited for Sunday, and these are matchups you really look forward to because, like I said, it's 2 really good teams, 2 really good organizations that are playing well right now, and something's got to give. So we're looking forward to it.
Always appreciate hearing from Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin always giving his time to us. I think that video there is about 10 minutes of interview footage, and he spoke to multiple reporters, including John Keim, myself, Ben Standig, after that even. So Terry McLaurin, always great to the media out here in DC. So is Sam Cosmi, even though he likes to play gruff, very nice guy. And also assistant defensive backs coach Willie Gay. You're going to hear from both of those guys coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're doing that thanks to LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you may want to find the qualified professionals that are right for the role. In fact, you're going to want to find the qualified professionals that are right for the role. And that's why you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. But LinkedIn is not just any other job board. LinkedIn helps you hire the professionals you can't find anywhere else, even ones that are not looking for an active role, but might be open to the perfect role with your small business. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses are getting a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional. And the best part is LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier for you. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's episode of Locked On Commanders is also brought to you in part by FanDuel. And with FanDuel, you can get ready to tackle all the NFL action this weekend with the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. Because right now, new customers, you get $150 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet and it hits. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your live and pregame bets on the NFL all in one place. So if you want to take the Washington Commanders as 2.5-point favorites to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers at home this weekend, you can do that at any time before kickoff. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, however, or after the game has started, the betting opportunities don't end. You can go to FanDuel, check out the live stats, the play-by-play, everything else that you need to place your bets at the same place you place that exact bet. So go to FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. Wrapping up today's episode of Locked On Commanders, this bonus pregame episode you're going to hear now from offensive lineman Sam Cosmi.
Is that something you experience, like talking to your friends around the league? Like people realizing, like, hey, Washington might be better than it was last year, a couple years ago?
Well, yeah. I mean, winning, it's hard to win in this league. It's not easy. It takes a lot to win consistently, and to be able to do that, it's not, you don't just roll your helmet out there and say, hey, we're going to win, you know? It takes a lot of work. And to be able to do that and to build the culture that we're building right here, I keep saying that word special, but it is. So I love to be a part of it. I love that I am a part of it. And to be able to do this, it's nice because, like, being a guy that has been a part of, you know, the beginning, it just makes you work even harder just to keep what we have, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love that. I love fighting for that. And it's like, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than the guy next to me. It's all about the team.
You guys, like, a lot of people around here use the word brotherhood. Like, what does that mean? Like, how do you see that on the day-to-day?
You know, like, if a guy messes up or something happens on the field, like, there's not the sense of, like, flinching of, like, oh, crap, you know, like, it's like, I don't know, we don't question our ability to keep fighting, you know, like, there's not that will to give up. And through adversity, you really see what comes out of that. And when we see an adversity, we don't flinch, which is so cool to see. And we just keep fighting for each other, keep fighting for this brotherhood that we're building. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've seen it. And I've seen what happens on the other side of that, of not fighting for that, not doing that, and what that gets you to. So being able to see that is so cool.
You talk about building that winning culture. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin, have never had a losing season with him as a head coach. When you get ready to play a team like that, doing what you guys are doing, how much do you think about kind of emulating that and also maybe exceeding that here?
Yeah, you know, what they've done is truly, I mean, special. I mean, that's why he's been the head coach there since 2007. Yeah, I mean,
This is 18th year.
Yeah, for that to be that consistent and being able to win and build something like that, I mean, that's huge. That speaks a lot of volume. So on that part of their organization. So, you know, they pride themselves in playing physical and tough and for each other, and so do we. So I could see Sunday being a fist fight for sure, just going back and forth. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that, looking forward to what we have, and looking forward to what they have.
Tough, physical. I mean, the Steelers D-line, what kind of challenge is that?
I mean, they have a really good D-line. I mean, they got, you know, TJ and they got all those cats on there. They play really hard. Have a really good front, really good defense. They pride themselves on defense for sure. So yeah, we have a big challenge, especially you know, O-line wise. We know that, but we're also, you know, we say we're focusing on us and what we can do better each and every week, and you know, putting ourselves in the best position to be successful on the football field. So that's what we're doing right now, and then, you know, once Sunday comes, you know, we'll be strapped up and ready to go.
You mentioned the speed at which you guys have been able to turn things around. Is that safe to say that's maybe your biggest surprise to the season, or we've at the halfway part of the season at this point? What's been the biggest surprise or shock for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, for sure that. You know, each and every year I come into the season very optimistic and hopeful. And, you know, you kind of feel like you got something, you don't know. I mean, everybody kind of felt like that, especially going early on. You know, Five's been incredible, and having him be the type of leader he is, and I mean, he's not a rookie in our eyes, and that's a huge thing. He's taken this team and ran with it, and he's got the keys to the car, and he's been driving it like it's going 200 miles an hour, and I love it. I'm here for it, and we just fight for each other, and we keep doing what we do and keep winning ball games, you know, behind that guy. So it's been amazing so far.
Always great catching up with Sam. Always great talking to assistant defensive backs coach Willie Gay as well. So here is Coach Gay.
Does this game have any more meaning for you, just given your days as, I mean, you were a coaching engineer, you obviously played in Pittsburgh, so does it mean any more to you just being on the sideline here?
No, well, it means more because it's the next opportunity for us to, try to go out and win. And that's what we're looking forward to. We don't really worry about who the opponent is, more so on how well we can play.
You guys brought in Marshon Lynch, obviously he's not playing, Marshon Lattimore, obviously. He's obviously not playing this weekend, but, what have you seen from him and what do you like about him as a corner?
Like me personally, just the group itself, the defense, we're just ready to go for this important game. Because like I said, it's the next game, and it's one step closer to our goals of just winning each and every week and having an opportunity to win. So that's basically the thing that we're trying to focus in on. It's just making sure that we're out there playing as hard as we can to get the victory.
What makes Mike Tomlin such a successful coach?
He has a resume that speaks for itself.
Why? Like, what does he do? He's obviously been really good. So what makes him that kind of a coach?
Just being himself. That's kind of what Dan Quinn is for us here at the Commanders. He's a guy who lets us know his door is open as coaches and as players. And I believe as a coach, you must be like that. So that's what I'm trying to be like. Just having my door open, having that relationship with the players. So that's the kind of coach that I want to be, such as Dan Quinn and Mike Tomlin.
It might be so. Why is that so important, do you think? It's probably obvious, but I'm just curious.
Well, this business is about trust. I'm sure in your line of business, you want to trust the people that you work with. So that's the line of communication that you want to have as a player, as an assistant coach to the player, is that connectivity that Dan Quinn built since day one.
You mentioned both Dan and Mike Tomlin. It seems to some degree Dan's almost kind of trying to, they're different people, but kind of trying to emulate the same consistency year over year. You mentioned interview. What, as somebody who's been with them, what are some of the comparisons between them, how they kind of go about their business?
Yeah, I think they're their own individual people. And that's what you kind of try to be, is just be yourself. You don't try to copy anybody's style or nothing like that. I'm sure he has people that he look up to as far as Dan Quinn, and same thing goes as for Mike Tomlin. So that's the thing that I look as like mentors or guys who you can look up to, and you can take characteristics from them, but you also must be your individual self in order to be great.
What's obviously year over year in Pittsburgh, and Tomlin's never had a losing record. What's the secret sauce of that consistency? And are you seeing some of that kind of starting here in this first year?
Well, I'm gonna hit you with a Mike Tomlin saying. The secret sauce is that there is no secret sauce.
How have you seen the secondary really come together, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, just communication-wise, just the way they're playing together, et cetera?
I just think the whole, as a team, just the energy. I think I looked up in the crowd the last home game, and there was just a lot of people out there, the excitement around the building, around the city. I think it's bigger than the team. It's when they say the fight for old DC and the DMV, you can feel the energy everywhere you go. So I think that's the difference that from day one.
Having played in Pittsburgh, you know what Steelers Nation can bring with it. Terrible towels the whole night. How much does that affect you on the field as a player? I mean, how much do you hear that? How much does it,
Yeah, I think those are for the Instagram pictures. You really don't pay attention to it. You also love the fan interaction. You want the energy. So towels, yelling, what have you. You want to hear that. You want to hear the noise because that brings excitement to your game.
What does it say about Mikey that he's drafted kind of to be a slot guy, almost maybe to a degree by default, but also his work, he has to play outside for several weeks. What does that say about just him as his determination or mindset when he's out there? He's obviously not the biggest guy to play outside, but that he was able to do it and to help solidify some things out there.
Well, when you in the draft, you're looking for football players. So when you grab a football player in any situation, they can handle it. And so that's what we believe, that each and every player that we brought in here, whether it's free agency or the draft, are capable of stepping in wherever the team needs them.
Are you enjoying the transition to coaching? Do you enjoy it as much as you did playing?
I enjoy life. Like the question you asked, just because it's Friday, just growing up, been through a lot. So just to smile every day and see energy from players, coaches. I'm sure y'all probably heard me as you're interviewing somebody. I'm always talking loud, probably screaming at practice. So the enjoyment of just seeing energy from people and bringing smiles to people that I just met or been in the building with, that excites me each and every day.
All right. Special thank you, of course, to wide receiver Terry McLaurin, offensive lineman Sam Cosmi, assistant defensive backs coach Willie Gay, and all of you for coming through for today's episode. Our next episode of Locked On Commanders will drop after the Week 10 game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Win, lose, or draw, we will come to you live from Northwest Stadium, probably indoors because it's supposed to rain, and my equipment is not waterproof, especially not my laptop. In the meantime, if you've got questions or comments, all you got to do is text them to me, and you can text them directly to me by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders and become an insider today. For your next listen, check out Locked On NFL. The Madman Tyler Rowland kicks you off in the morning, and in the afternoon, you get some real NFL talk with Tony Wiggins. It's the all-new Locked On NFL, and it is twice a day. As always, thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen of the day, every day, everydayers. Special thank you to you for coming through every single day. If you're out and about, please be safe, be kind, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.